Hey, it's recording. Look at that schooling effect right there. Oh God. Oh, we came up and crushed that jerkbait. I'm gonna show you exactly what different types of habitat look like. Topwater live scoping out here. Oh, here comes his buddy. He got it. What is up, MFers? Welcome out to a beautiful day down here in Texas. It's December, and this is my favorite time of the year to do what we're doing in this video, and that is hopping behind the Livescope screen, and we're gonna pick on some. But not only that, you know, last year I did a video where it was like 3 hours long of me just showing you live on the screen what was happening. We caught a ton of fish on Livescope, and you guys loved that video, seeing how the fish interacted with my little tiny swimmer. I don't even know how many fish we caught, probably 20 or 30. We caught an 8-pounder. It was freaking awesome. And whether you guys have Livescope or not, whether you think it's cheating or not, I don't really care. It's just another tool that I use every single day. So for the guys that have Livescope, this video is going to be extremely helpful because I'm going to show you exactly what different types of habitat look like, exactly what the specific types of fish look like, whether it be bass, catfish, crappie, bluegill, how to differentiate those and differentiate how they're really holding on those different types of grass, standing timber, brush piles and stuff. But if you don't have Livescope, I always talk about this being a learning experience, and that's the great thing about it. You might think it's cheating, but actually what it is a chance to see how fish are reacting in their environment and processing that information extremely quickly. And I learn more about these bodies of water every single time I'm at them. That helps me apply it to my fishing, whether Livescope or not, in the future. That helps me catch a lot more and giant fish. So with that being said, here's some of the baits we got up here that we're going to be throwing today. I know you guys might not have been expecting it. I'm Mr. Big Bait, right? Well, we got some of those tied on, but we got a couple of really awesome Livescope winter suspended fish baits right here on the spinning rods. Plus, of course, this guy might end up being the star of our show, the old Provoke Jerkbait. Very, very good bait to see how fish are reacting on Livescope, which is what we're going to do today. And then, of course, I couldn't come out here without tying on a bunch of different big baits, including this new guy right here. So if we see some fish higher in the column, we'll probably throw this guy to him right now, that little mini draw that hasn't come out yet, but it's going to before too much longer. But the point of this video is going to be to show you guys the different fish, explain to you exactly what I'm looking at on the screen and how I'm deciding what to cast to the fish, what species the fish are and what habitat they're on, to help us break down these bodies of water. And then maybe we'll catch some fish along the way, but should be a good one. And Cole's gonna put little tick points down below too, little cut points to where maybe we'll show what a bass looks like, maybe we'll see some crappie. If you want to see what fish look like that are in grass and standing timber, we'll put those down below, along with hopefully some fish catches on these different types of bait if you guys want to skip ahead at any point. Now, before we jump into fishing, I got to tell you guys about something that I think is so important for fishermen that we don't think about when we go on the water. So if you're out on a giant body of water or a tournament, somewhere just a long ways away from where you launch, and you're running a lot of electronics, then you have had this happen to you where your starting battery dies, and for whatever reason, you can't jump start it with your trolling motor batteries. And then one, you're gonna be stranded a long ways away from home. This time of year, you're gonna be stranded in the cold, maybe die. Or two, if you're in a tournament, you can't get back, you're gonna lose that tournament. You're gonna lose whatever you were gonna weigh in because you're out of battery. So that sucks. It's a huge problem, especially like we're doing in this video, running a lot of electronics. Well, we got a solution for that I think is just an incredible product. Powerhouse Lithium, they sent me one of these batteries and I've been using it for about 4 months now, but it's finally available to market. This is their starting battery right here. So Powerhouse has this starting battery that not only is it a lithium battery, which has all of the benefits over your traditional lead acid and AGM batteries, except for price, of course. But not only is it going to be able to power your electronics all day long, but if something were to happen, if you left something on or it didn't charge right or something that you screw up, like I'm not very smart, I screw stuff up all the time. It's got a button down here, an emergency jump start button built into the starting battery. And what that does is you can hold it for 3 seconds and it will give the battery enough juice to start it up. Of course, you need to run the engine at that point for like 15 minutes to recharge that with the alternator of the engine. But it has a jump start mechanism built into the battery. That's gonna save me so much, I think. And if anything were to happen fishing the opens this next year, it's gonna be incredible. So you can actually hit the link at the top of the description, pick up one of those brand new batteries before they sell out. I believe they are $999. Seems very expensive, but you got a promo code I'll put right down below to save you guys some money and a 15-year warranty. I know that sounds like a big investment. I know it is a big investment for a starting battery, but if you're buying a new starting battery, it's probably $200 to $300, and it's going to last you a couple years, or if you fish every day like me, it's going to last you about a year, and you're going to have issues along the way. Why not get one for the next 15 years that you could replace if anything ever were to go wrong with it? Have customer service, have a Bluetooth app built into your phone so you can at any point look at how much battery life it has left, and of course has that jump start capability. I don't see why you wouldn't. I'll link it right down below. All right, cool, let's send it. Hey, it's recording. All right, guys, let's talk about what we got on the screen. Let me talk to you about settings really quick before we even make a cast. So we got her set on 100 feet out, as you can see. So it's panning out 100 feet from my boat. I like to keep it on that very often. I keep the gain generally about 72%, generally 68 to 73%. I can run it pretty strong right now, and wow, we're seeing some good fish out here actually right now already. But as you can see, 22 feet deep, and about 25 to 40 feet out right there, 27 to 37 feet now, there is a big old wad of what the bass like to eat, and that is threadfin shad. So you can see we're kind of out here in the middle of nowhere in the main basin, and that's what we're looking for a lot of times, which is kind of weird, but all through the winter, bass will get out on these threadfin shad here in Texas. There's actually a bass right above those. And watch, he's gonna go down. This is gonna be cool. There's gonna be a big hole. Yeah, see, he blew a hole in those shad. He's back behind it now there. He's at about 26 feet now. He's behind the ball. And he's just freaking gorging himself. Conditions, as you guys can see, are really slick today. And so it might not want too much of a big swim bait or a moving bait. There he is again. But let's throw this little hover juggle. He's actually coming up to the boat now. He's kind of in the little ghost tree. Little hover juggle. You can see I went past him. Oh, he went right to it. He acted spooked. He's right behind it. Oh! He swerved it. Came back to it, swerved it. Oh, he's back on it again. This doesn't look to be a very big fish. That's another thing we'll kind of talk about, size of fish. That's probably a 2-pound fish. And he finally gave up on it there. But that was pretty cool, actually. That was a fish that was kind of actively feeding. As you can see, he's still said no to my favorite little bait rigging system for some of these fish, which is the hover juggle. And we're gonna probably mix in some different baits for sure, but let's move on to some more stuff. Let's go check some stuff out. So there again, that's great. That's a big school of threadfin right there with some bigger fish mixed in, actually actively chasing them. When they're in the ball there below it, see how they're kind of underneath it there? That's usually game over. So I'm gonna fire this hover juggle. It hit there at about 52 feet. You can't see it because there's so many bait fish. I'm gonna try to work it just below the school because that's obviously gonna be who's getting picked off. And they're moving so fast that I wasn't even able to get to them. But this is a okay little fish here that's kind of on the fringe. Let's pitch this in and see how he wants to act. And the entire school of shad actually moved over. But yeah, as you can see, that's what we're looking at a lot that I talk about. We're chasing fish that are looking for bait and on bait. I'm actually a little rusty. I've been doing saltwater fishing and not in the boat for several days here. But look at that big old school of shad, threadfin shad that's getting pushed by this bass here at about 30 feet. And there's a bass back behind him there too. Wow. Sometimes it's hard to even see these bass because they're so tucked in with these threadfin, but this is exactly what they do all winter long, and it's something we didn't really know that much about until we got Livescope. There's a pretty good fish way out there by the surface, 60 feet away. Let's see if he wants the hover juggle. So you can see my hover juggle is just past him right there. He's actually to the right of it, so I don't think he's even gonna see it, but let me get panned back in. Pretty good one out there in the distance, but let's try to get this guy quick. He's moving to my right. 45 feet. Oh, spooked him when it hit the water. Let's see if he comes back. He's considering coming back. That's one thing you got to definitely be cognizant of. I was just trying to show you guys what it looked like with this fish out here, and what I ended up doing was spooking him, but the water is so clean and so slick that that'll happen. There, he finally saw my bait, and he's a lot more interested now. He's like, oh, that's a lot less scary. That's a little better fish too. He seems quite a lot smarter. I'm kind of just popping it in place, but I don't think he's gonna pull the trigger. Nope, he swerved me. So as you can see, that's what's constantly happening when I talk about fish swerving me and stuff. And there's another fish there. As we can see, they definitely aren't gonna like when we dump it on their head generally today. It doesn't look like. I need to cast far because I need to clear what's on my spinning rod. But we're out here in the basin. There's a piece of standing timber. It actually looks like it's got a good fish, or a decent fish on the back side of it there, about 70 feet. Kind of just a middle of nowhere guy. Of course, my hover juggle ended up a little shallower of them. That might actually be a crappie on the back side. You guys can kind of see that, right? That little standing timber right there. That looks like crappie. And then as I pan up a little bit further towards the bank up here, you guys can start to see that grass line, nice hydrilla grass line that's going to come out. Obviously, points are going to be a really good place to look when you come to a body of water that's new. But following those grass lines out, and then where it kind of is a big drain or a depression where it's deeper, right next to it is where fish can really suspend out over in the winter time. And that's exactly what's happening. There's another bait ball right there with a fish underneath them. It's like a pretty good fish too. And they have not been too hot on this hover juggle, so I'm really considering switching up to a jerkbait, a single swimmer. I have that little jigging wrap on there. A big swim bait might even actually draw a couple of these fish. But they're moving so fast too that it can be really challenging to get a bait in front of him. Nope, he saw that and he liked it. He's on it. Oh, he swerved it. Something that can be really important too when they're on bait balls like this is just really fishing them so they can eat it on the fall. Just letting it spin past them because they're blowing holes in bait like that. A lot of times they're just injuring little bait fish. These are all decent fish though. That last one was pretty good. This one's up by himself here. He saw it. He's on it. They're kind of acting like they don't want to eat it though, which means we're going to make a switch here in a second. He's closing. Oh, he stopped. Oh, he's closing again. The fish is pretty hot, but they're just not quite pulling the trigger yet on the old hover juggle. But that's okay. That's only about a 2-pound fish. We can pan out a little bit more and see there is a whole bunch more threadfin shad. You can about guess what's below them. That might actually just be, yeah, there's actually a school of bass, of small bass below. That's what those flickers are on the back side there. There's my hover juggle. This one should elicit a strike with that many bass below it, although they don't look like they're very big. And again, I could be completely wrong, and it could just be big threadfin or something below, but I'm pretty positive that's a group of little bass on the bottom side. At least that one there in the front anyway. It's kind of funny though how much food these fish have to eat. There's another group of threadfin there. It's like everywhere you pan, there's bait. But as you guys are already seeing, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're gonna just go rail on them. There's a bass, or at least a couple bass mixed in there. You guys can kind of see on the back side of the first ball there. Got the further away ball of shad right there is near the surface. It might even be a situation where we could pull a topwater out today. Topwater live scoping can be pretty fun, as you can imagine. I don't think the bass even saw my guy there. Man, that's a lot of fish. It's a lot of bait, that is. We need to find the bass chasing them. There's one actually there way back at, you can barely see it, 70 feet because there's so much bait. Let's see if I can put my juggle in front of them. About to be time for jerkbait though. How many times do I gotta say that, Cole, before I actually throw my jerkbait?
Probably about 17 more.
17 more, got it. Geez, that fish was up by the surface. Come on, bud. Come on, bud. They just don't want to slurp my cricket quite yet. That's okay. I don't blame them. It's not real. The real stuff tastes better. But I don't want to give them a choice. Let's switch to the jerkbait quick so you can see what that's all about. This is the Provoke 106DD. I like this one a lot because it's, well, it's a deep diver, so it dives down quicker at a sharper angle, so we can get it down deeper and it gets on scope fish faster. A lot of times you'll see me see a fish on Livescope and I'll cast like 120 feet, but that can be to fish that are only 30 feet away from me, but I know it needs to get down to its maximum depth. There's one way up by the surface. I don't know where my bait, there it is. You can see my jerkbait coming in on him. I missed him a little bit. He's swimming to my left. Let's give that another chance. Actually, you can see the tail separation on that fish, and there actually goes a group of bass. You can barely see them there. But you can see the tail separation on that fish a little bit. So he's probably a pretty good one. Oh God. Oh, we came up and crushed that jerkbait. Hey, Cole. I think I'm going to switch to a jerkbait and use it now. They seem to want to eat it. I mean, that's a small fish, but look how much he weighs right now because of how he is built. That's a properly fed. That's a little, I mean, I made brisket for Thanksgiving. This guy's been eating brisket and ham down there. It's a meaty boy. Not a giant one though. I mean, that's a fish I'm going to love to have next year fishing tournaments, but that's not a giant fish, but I will freaking take him. Oh, another one. As you can see, they're pretty hot on the jerkbait. Oh, and that is some reverb there coming up from the bottom. So if you're wondering in today's video why there's fish that are mirroring exactly what's happening out further, except right under the boat in this shot, that's what it is. So here's some standing timber out there. Doesn't appear to be anything on that. But out further, you can see, ooh, that's a pretty good fish out there. That might not even be a bass. Man, I'd like to know if he is though. He's kind of creating some reverb there too. That might actually be a catfish, but we're gonna throw something that can get down to him because he's out there in 20 feet. Although we are going to have some fish, I think we pull a long distance with the jerkbait today because the water's clean and there's no clouds or anything. We definitely want to be able to get down deeper. So let's see what he does to the Hover Juggle here. That's a really nice fish. I don't think he's gonna see it. I screwed up and missed him. He's got a pretty big blob right there. He is a pretty big blob. And then of course there's some fish up above him too, which makes the blobness of him makes me think he is a bass, because when they're catfish or gar, which there's some gar in here, definitely catfish, and then of course carp too, they have a lot more of a fuzzy appearance on the screen, especially when they're by themselves. But there, I put my Hover Juggle on him pretty good there. It's coming up to him. Let's see how he reacts. Yep, definitely a bass, and he's on it. Oh, he bit it. That's a big one. I should have just caught that one instead of missing him, Cole. That was on me. Did not let him suck it in far enough. But that kind of maybe shows you guys how deadly effective this rigging system has been on big fish specifically. He's down deep now on the bottom. I mean, just look at how that fish looks on the screen. Down there, he's at 50 feet now. And then there's another one coming in actually that actually does not look like a bass that he's going right next to. But that fish looks so much different than all these other fish that we're fishing next to. And that is definitely a big bass because, oh, he turned around and came to it. But notice the separation. You can see his tail separate from from his body. You can't now because he turned. But when he was dead on chasing it, which he did again. I'm thinking about throwing an A-rig. Water's 58 now. I have not been on that quite yet here in Texas, but that's one we want to catch. And you see he's down on the bottom. He's trying to be sneaky and get away. And since he turned and looked twice, I doubt that he's going to eat this, but you never freaking know. You can just barely see him now faintly, and I threw my bait a little bit short of where he went, but close enough that he probably saw it. He's gonna try to turn around if he gets close enough. But anyways, that's a big fish there, and we almost just caught it. He sucked it in and I screwed it up, but I bet he's at least a 6-pounder. Now we're getting out to a brush pile. You guys see the brush pile right there, and it's got a lot of good stuff happening. You can see all the flickers in there, and our big fish just swam out to it. He's there at about 50 feet. You can barely see him just faintly down there. I'm gonna keep casting to him while we just keep moving our way out here. But there's a big fish on the back side of the brush pile. And this is just a good lake for Livescope, and just a good time of year for it in general, like I was saying. And so when you come out in the summer, you're not necessarily seeing all this going on, but let's look at that down there. So we got bait fish, and obviously there's standing timber, there's laid over brush piles, there's a little bit of everything. We got a bigger fish up above there. Looks a little bit like the one that we just casted at, but not as big. Let's see what he thinks of the Hover Juggle. That could be a crappie or a bass being by himself right there. Some of these crappie are like 2.5 pounds, so they look a lot like bass. Work my cricket up there as we get a bunch of interference coming off that brush pile. Oh, he sees it, and he got it. Oh no, Cole! Quit pulling it away from him, Cole. Well, pass. On to the next one. There's a pretty big fish right there. Cole really needs to stop screwing up. We put it on him. I don't know if he saw it. Kind of looks like that big sumbitch we were chasing a little bit ago. Big old fuzzy mark there. One I'm talking about is right there at 45 feet. We kind of hit the brakes. I don't think it is. I think this is a new guy. Generally, the way I can tell if they're crappie or not is when I'm throwing a bass bait like this that I just generally don't catch any crappie on. If they don't move or do anything, not a bass for the most part. Sometimes a really big fish will take multiple presentations, but that actually looks like a big one. There it goes. My Hover Juggle there at about 40 feet now. Coming right down to him. We'll see what he thinks. He's definitely going to see it this time. Did he just swerve it? Nope, he spun. Nope, he swerved it. Nope, he turned around. Here he finally comes. That's a big one. He's thinking hard about it. He swerved it. I'm going to kind of just let it glide down to him. See what he thinks about a straight vertical presentation. He doesn't think much about it, Cole. He said, "See you later, I'm big and I'm too smart for you. I already bit once." He is Gandhi. All right, moving on. There's a big guy right there. Looks like a crappie. I want to get over in the standing timber over here because there's always some big crappie and bass mixed in, so we'll really be able to tell, but we're about to see if this is a bass or not. I don't think it is. Yeah, that right there at 30 feet is a representation of a catfish or a gar or a carp or something big. Obviously, we do catch catfish on bass lures. They do react on Livescope. I catch them on big freaking swim baits sometimes. It pisses me off sometimes, but all those together right there, I mean, could be a little tiny crappie or something, but generally at this lake, I know when I look at that at 25 feet, that is what a big non-bass looks like. See how it's all kind of moving together, and it just looks different than that group of threadfin there that's from 40 to 62 feet away. I really think that is a big gar or a carp. So let's pan over here. We got a piece of standing timber that comes way up on the back side of it there. You can see a couple fish there. They're really tight together and really vertical, which makes me think, since they're positioned more vertically like that they're crappie, but I have seen where the bass will be that tight. And look at that, we ran that right by them and they didn't move. Those are shallow enough. They're 8 feet down. You can probably get them on a jerkbait, if they're bass, that is. So if I throw this jerkbait by them and they don't move, 100% crappie, especially being suspended next to a piece of standing timber like that. So here's my jerkbait coming up to him. I'll stop it like 5 feet on my crank down to him. And of course, we do catch crappie on jerkbait sometimes too. But look at that. Now he's in what I will call what is known as the ghost tree, which is 25 feet away. They didn't move. So there's another little bass there at 40 feet away, 45. Looks like he came from chasing those thread fins out there. But there we have it. We got some crappie on standing timber. We got that gar, carp, whatever situation further down. Hopefully you guys can kind of see what those look like right there. I'm gonna go over and check out some standing timber. I've caught some good swim bait fish in here, so I think I'm gonna throw a big glide and you guys will kind of get a chance to see what those guys look like too. All right, as we move kind of up here in some of the standing timber, we got thread fins galore. That's a great sign. That means that the bass are really gonna, if they want to, they're gonna be able to position themselves within that timber. And god dang, you see that one down there about 70 feet, 75 feet. That looks like a big old gargantuan sitting there waiting. For that one, I'm gonna throw a glide by him. I'm gonna see, since he's kind of next to that timber and he's kind of looking less like a fish all the time, of course, I'm gonna throw the big glide next to him and we'll sink it down there real slow. He's probably just sitting down there doing big fish stuff. We'll just see how he reacts. Could be a crappie too, sitting there like that, suspended on the top of a brush pile. Like I said, a lot of times these things can be difficult to tell what species they are when they're... Wow, that guy's really firing that engine up, Cole. Yeah, I'm not even gonna get this down there. My glide's still up there at 4 feet below the surface. You can see it slowly. That was a terrible cast too. Wow, good job, Ben. But I need to put a little more weight on it. It's looking less like a fish all the time. Look at look at that up top. That's what a really good sign. Seeing that one way up high. Just came in from the basin, probably chasing bait. I'm gonna throw this glide bait past him so I don't spook him. We're gonna see if he wants to come up and play with it. Turn the other direction. I don't think he saw it. Or he's small and didn't care. Also very possible. Dang, I'm surprised my glide isn't heavier than it is. He's way up there by the surface, Cole. I think he just turned just right so he didn't see it. So one thing we can use to our advantage is the size of that bait and land it pretty close to one. If you throw to one and he doesn't see it, of course, you can, there, he saw it that time. See him light up and turn around right there. He's on it pretty good. He doesn't look like a giant fish. Probably, yeah, 2 to 3 pounder. The big ones can't move up and down in the column as fast as he just did. Really, I don't have a good shot on him here because he's kind of in the interference of my bait, but he's not that much bigger than my bait. What's his buddy doing up back behind him though? Is that a fish? That looks like a large fish, Cole. Might be. It's moving. Drop this on his dome. We spooked him. Let's see if he comes back. A lot of times it's okay to spook him with a big bait because it's a bait that, oh man, he just went way far away. It's a bait that's so natural and has so much draw that they'll spook and then they'll whip back around like, okay, that creature can't kill me now. Time for me to go see what it is. I'm gonna add some more weight to this after I casted this fish, but again, doesn't look like a giant one or anything. Yeah, let's get some more weight on this ankle quick. Tool belt. Cole, you can cut this if you want. Or I'll use it as a teaching moment. So I keep lead wire on me at all times for this exact situation. You guys can see it. And the crazy thing is, like, a bait doesn't do in the water with how it sinks or floats or suspends, doesn't just do it out of the package at all water temperatures. It just varies lake to lake, water temperature to water temperature. I've told you several times, look at that fish coming up to that bait. Oh man, he wanted that thing. Too bad he's small. Oh, his buddy wants it now too. He's a hair bigger. Jeez, that was cool. Still the bigger one I think is 3-pounder. But the general rule of thumb I tell you all the time is the cooler the water, the more dense it is, so it holds your bait up higher. So it takes more weight to get to suspend or sink. The warmer the water, bait with no weight on it, a lot of times it's supposed to suspend, will want to sink almost. There's another fish that we just threw too. These are not big fish. Big fish do not dart up and down in the column that fast. But now that the water's colder, it can take more and more weight to get these baits to sink or suspend, which is a good thing. That's why I always keep the wire in my pocket. So there's a piece of standing timber there, about 80 feet away. As you can see, there's a couple big marks in there. I think I just missed him with my cast. Nope, there's my bait sinking down to him. We'll see kind of how these fish react. I'm a little to the left of them, but that's the great thing about these big glides is you can pull fish from a long distance away. Really makes me think that that's a crappie, the way he did not do anything right there. A couple crappie, that is. The one at 45 feet right now, though, probably a big crappie. Let's throw this to him one more time and see what he does. Hopefully you guys can see already, just from watching me for 20 minutes, how much of a learning tool this is. How you know where in the column fish are at based on species, what type of cover they're holding on. Of course, nothing is a constant in fishing. I always think, I've heard John Sokup refer to it as the 90% rule, where 90% of the time you got it figured out, you know what those species are doing once you get it figured out, and 10% of the time that's just random fish doing whatever they want to do. Sometimes the big ones in a group of fish, which you think that they're solitary. Sometimes little fish are out by themselves or doing whatever. But in general, how fast this allows you to figure out what's happening in a fishery with or without catching fish. I already know that there's a ton of fish out in the main basin chasing threadfin, that those fish are not super keen on the hover juggle if they're with bait, that they're very keen on the jerkbait, or else they were just then, and that one solitary big fish by itself was very interested in the hover juggle. So if I see big solitary fish, I'm going to want to throw the hover juggle to them. If I see little ones up in the water column, very good chance they're going to come out and smoke a jerkbait. We already know that. We just got to this lake and we know that. A lot of that helps with past experience and knowing what I'm looking at, but people think that this is cheating or this is so effective because you see fish, cast a fish, catch fish. There is truth to that occasionally, but the biggest thing is it's a learning tool. Everything's a learning tool. Look at this big fish that, not big, but he's just said, he swerved my glide bait, and now he's like, I'm just going to eat these real shad instead. Kind of funny. Here's a little secondary point. As you can see, I'm going to zoom it in a little bit because it's shallower. Actually, I'm going to back us off it a little bit. There's some brush piles in the bottom. I like that because the rest of the lake, for the most part, is standing timber and grass. So now that we've got some brush, which is something different, especially that it's on a point, it can really hold some big fish. Brush piles can be difficult to see fish within, but you can actually, there's a good fish there on the back side of that first pile there, it looks like. There at 55 feet. Let's throw the glide over the top, we'll let it sink down and see if it can pull one of these. That definitely is looking more like a good fish all the time. There's one on the front too, it doesn't look very big, might not be a bass. A lot of times though, these piles, you won't see them that well, but they're all worth a cast over with the big bait because you can suck out some freaks. So that fish in the back didn't do anything, which means he's probably not a bass. A bass would have at least turned. Yeah, nothing happened. That's what usually happens, nothing. But that's okay because we get more attempts. There's fish out, that's actually, looks like a big fish way out there at 85 feet. And another one up there up high at 90, but I want to try to get to that one. There he is right there, 80 feet, 82 feet. Piece of standing timber out there. think that's a fish anyway, right on the front side of it. Can't even see my ankle. There he is. Swim bait's sinking down. It's right there at 75 feet, right about where that fish was. We'll see if it makes a move. There's another good one on the bottom too. Look at that good fish on the bottom. Oh yeah, he's coming right to it. Turned around, he's on it. That's actually a big one. Tough to see, kind of getting some weird reverb off this brush pile area. He's also, I don't know if he loves how fast my bait's sinking when I move it slow. He's right behind it there though at 30 feet. And he's doing what the majority of fish do, which is they're just chasing and not pulling the trigger. But that's what it looks like more often than not. I don't know if you guys could see that really, but he flew off the bottom like 8 feet and whipped around, and that's generally what happens right before one will come crush it. He didn't do it, that's fine. On to the next one. So as I'm panning out and getting out here in the main basin, I am seeing a stupid amount of fish that are like near the surface. Some of them, like that one out there, that guy's in a little bit more water. We'll throw the Hover Juggle to him. But there's some that I want to start throwing a top water and that little mini glide to, that are just probably out cruising in between bait balls. Like they stopped following one bait ball for whatever reason, and now they've moved on and they're gonna go look for another one or set up on something and try to go start crushing bait. But I just tied on a little walking topwater bait, and we'll see if we can catch a couple of these jokers on topwater. Water's 59 still, so plenty of opportunity to catch topwater fish this time of year still, in Texas anyway. The ship's probably sailed most places. Throw this Hover Juggle at this fish one more time. Oh, he swerved it. But look at that one out there, Cole. 80 feet, he's on the damn surface. Most lakes, I would sit here and tell you guys, that'd be a carp out there. That ain't a bass. He's above the damn screen that's even on there. And sometimes it's not even, oh God, what a cast. And he went right to it. He's chasing it hard. Eat it, bud. Wow, we almost just caught, oh, we're still on it. Way too heavy a line. But yeah, anyways, what I was saying was anywhere else or most places I'd be like, yeah, that's a carp, don't even cast to it. It's a foot below the surface in November, December. You ain't gonna catch it. As I just drive by a big fish that's on the bottom of the lake right there because I have this in my hand. Smart, right? But I'm seeing enough of these on top. I'm gonna try to get them with the little chopper glide and the topwater. I'm gonna fire a cast and make sure that doesn't happen again. There we go. We got her dialed in now. Now that I say that, I'm not gonna see a single fish by the surface, Cole. Let's go down here. There's that road bed. Haven't fished that in a long time. God, another situation with a million fish up on the surface. And these shad, naturally, they don't want to be on the surface. So they probably got pushed up there and grouped up by some bass. We'll fire this up there and see if one's in there. You just can't see them because it's... Oh yeah, there's a whole school of them right there. Look at those guys. That's what I'm talking about. I don't think they're gonna do it on this guy, but when you see them grouped up like that, that's pretty much what do you want to catch them on. And the answer is a Hover Juggle. That's what I want to catch them on. Look at them over there. They're moving quick, of course. Threw my Hover Juggle in front of them. I'll just kind of work it up to them. These don't look like big ones, but there's a ton of them. And they swerved it, of course. They're moving too fast, actually. They got their eyes on that bait they're chasing. And you guys notice, this is kind of beginner Livescope stuff, but notice how these are fuzzier returns on there. That's because they're moving so quickly. They were just solid when we saw them in there, but now they're fuzzy. And they're not as stupid as you'd think, as you saw. If they were a little higher in the column, they're 15 feet down. If they were a little higher, I would throw the jerkbait in their first cast and I probably would have got one to blast it, but since they're deeper and they're moving quick, I'm gonna do that and get them to eat the hover juggle. Look at that schooling effect right there. Got them, finally. Finally got one to stick. God, they're so fat. Look at all these fish chasing them. Here, I'll pan over. You can see them all on the screen trying to get that bait from them, which is kind of funny considering all the real bait that's down there. Oh, whoops, hit the screen with the tail. I stopped it for a second. That's pretty cool. Another 2 1/4 pounder. Nothing big. Let me pop him off there. Let's see if we can get a couple of his buds. There's a couple more fish that probably heard that commotion out there and they're moving in. Solid little fish on the hover juggle. You can finally see an example of that being effective. A lot of times these fish do get too smart though. They won't come back and eat when they see their bud get ripped from their school right out the water. And now they're gonna hide in the, oh shoot, there's a bunch back there. Let me whip the boat around quick. I think that's the group he just came out of. It's gonna be a tough cast back behind the boat, but I think we can do it. There we go. A little bit past them. There, they see it. Oh, it was in his mouth. Oh, it was in his mouth again. And got it. Yeah, they're pissed off right now, Cole. Angry little schooler dudes. The problem is what they're doing is they're trying to come up and thrash it and kill it, or they're grabbing it and going straight sideways with it instead of just sucking it in all the way, because they're trying to get it from all their buds with that many of them down there. Too much fun. Yeah, buddy. Again, we're not casting the big ones right here in this spot yet. But man, they already did a number on the jug. Let's try to get one more out of that group before we move on. You can see there's 3 right there. Hover juggle coming in hot. I don't know if that's the same fish group or not, but there, he saw it. Nope. Did they get wise to it? I think they got wise to it. Look at that big dude on the bottom right there, right below the boat. Let's drop on him. I think that might be a catfish, but I'd like if he wasn't. It's also super tough to see. That's the crazy thing. A lot of times there's a big fish out there. Crazy thing a lot of times is these fish, you can have schools of little ones and chasing your bait and pull it away, or they come off, or you miss them, and then all of a sudden a 7-pounder will show up out of nowhere. So I'm gonna throw a jerkbait to these fish way up high. Look at them going ham on these bait fish. Here comes my jerkbait up to him. He doesn't see it yet. Now he did. It spooked him. Now he's on it. That was pretty cool. He didn't do it though. There's some fish out there. As you can see, they're a little bit better size. They're kind of spread out a little bit more. They're moving really fast, so it's gonna be tough to get a good jerkbait cast on them. I'm gonna blast it up to them. There's my jerkbait. There, they saw it. Did they just go the other direction, Cole? It's messed up, man. What is that dude doing out by the surface? He's getting a topwater. Even though I want to catch his buds down below. This is one of the downsides of fishing with a Livescope is you will literally have a heart attack doing it on a place like this with this many fish in this many parts of the water column. Oh my God, gotta catch to them. Yeah, it's probably a thing right there. This guy might not even hear this bait. Let's see what he does. Topwater bait. Nope, they didn't hear it. These look like a little bit better quality fish though, so I really want to get one to eat. Give him the hover jug one more time, even though my bait's about destroyed. And the fish are gone. Where did you go? You guys watched them. Tell me where they went. There's a couple up by the surface here now. They probably heard a bait fish getting crushed and moved. Here's a couple guys by themselves. Let's cast the further one out. He looks a little bigger. Hey bud, you like hover jugs? No? Great. Look at all those guys going ham on that bait ball. Perfect situation to throw this hover juggle. School of fish blasting out there. Yeah, see, they're already gone. They're moving those bait fish so fast. God dang, it's blasting across that screen. Look at that. They're moving right to left. That one up top, though, looks like a big one. Look at him right. Oh, there's two. That's why. Let's throw to these guys, though. Oh, he came up and got it. Yeah, that's a better one. Another 2.5, 3 pounder. Wasn't down in the school, but cool to catch him. Yeah, bud. The one bad thing about the juggle, we done blasted through him, but that's okay. He lasted 3 fish, 3-ish. I got this new hook I'm using on it that's amazing. Terrible idea. Flipped him anyway. Cole, why can't they be built better when they're this long? He's got a little gut on him. Still, he was on a diet, but there we go. Pretty cool. Let's get back in that bait ball really quick, if we can find it. Oh, he wants it. He got it. Yes. Yeah, buddy. On the little chopper. 6 cents mini draw. Thinks he's big. He ain't. He's a good one, though. Come here, bud. Hell yeah, saw that guy a couple feet below the surface, and I was losing hope on it. I was like, oh, they're not going to eat it. Throw the next one, and it's like he's never seen a lure before. Lost his mind. Hell yeah, man. This bait's going to be an absolute freaking killer, and it's going to be great in situations like these where the fish are on bait, but they want something really natural. They're not just going to eat whatever's by the surface. That kid came up and slurped it. Got a pretty good sized fish that we're actually kind of trailing behind. You can see him right there. It's hard to see once again. They get fuzzy. Oh, and then of course there's one up top that's good too, but he's there at about 48, 50 feet right now. We should probably see if that one will eat up top first. I want to catch one on a topwater really bad. Let's see what he does. Let me just lose both. Oh no, why did I do that? There he is. Look at that guy up there on the surface. I'm trying to get him on a topwater. Comes my bait up to him. He's at 75 feet. Turn, buddy. Oh, he didn't think much of that, Cole. He's like, I've been seeing those all summer. Screw you. He was moving though, so maybe we can get him on something else, but he might have not seen it, is what I'm saying. Oh, he saw it that time. Come on up. Oh, you guys see him swerve, come on up to it? That's a pretty good fish. He was trailing way behind the topwater though, which means we need to give him something else. Went to the Hover Juggle to him quick while he's still out away from the boat a little bit. Kind of dial him in. He's at 40 feet there. Right on his head. He saw it. He's coming to it. Come eat it, buddy. Come eat it, buddy. Make me look like I know what I'm doing. Or make me look like an idiot. Like, oh, he's thinking about it. He's still thinking. He's still thinking. I'm just gonna shake it right in his grill. Shake it, shake, shake it, shake it, shake, shake it. He said, fuck off. Well, you guys saw it there first. Sometimes you can get those ones that do that sneaky stuff. Sometimes they swerve you. But I had a lot of fun trying to catch him. We almost caught him. All right, well, we got the Hover Juggle in our hand. Here's a couple more fish. Look at them blasting towards us right there. That means they're hungry, they're ornery, they're looking for food in all the right places. I'm gonna give them the juggle. I think that I just barely missed it. Oh no, we're gonna miss them. Drop it right here. Oh no, it's behind him. Oh, he still saw it. He still saw it. There he comes. I think they're a little weary of the boat being this close. Yep, nice cast, Ben. Nice cast. That's what usually happens Livescope fishing. You make a bad cast and you just get to see all the fish you don't catch. Pretty good fish on the bottom out here. Couple good fish. Nope. Swerved. Another high up guy. Here he comes. Come get the glide. Chop, 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 chop. He thought about it. I don't think he's gonna do it though. Nope, followed from a distance. Let's try it on the next guy. There's a couple guys out there, 70, 75 feet. A bunch of guys actually. Look at that guy, came out of nowhere to come check it out. Oh man, oh, he's right on it. Look at that fish. He'll be doing the same thing on the top water too, I guarantee it. Up, down, up, down. Not super giant fish, but I would have liked to catch them. It is crazy how effective these little chopper glides can be though at fish high in the water column. A lot of fish that won't touch anything else will come up and eat them. You guys have seen that in my videos all summer, but it's another way to target these Livescope fish. That guy came and got it though. Look at that. Look at that school out there. That is badass. Pissed off boy at the old draw. No, don't hook me and let me cast to that school. Oh man, they already took off. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get a bait high in the column down to them, but that actually, see those fish moving away from us down there on the bottom right now? There's a fish up on top that looks big too. Let's fire to him. Freaking topwater live scoping out here. Oh, here comes his buddy. Do it. There's two of you. Got him. Yes. Yes. Oh my God, that's incredible. Hell yeah. Freaking catching them on the little chopper glide. How cool is that, guys? Hopefully you're enjoying this, and hopefully my Livescope's recording because we're having some issues with my phone and the app and everything, but catching them on the mini draw. Fish in 20 feet of water you would never know are out there a foot below the damn surface. Absolutely incredible. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Livescope video, and I've showed you, I think, ways to catch them from 20 feet down to right below the surface in a lot of different ways right now. But what I want you guys to do is, if you comment what ways you want to see me catch them and what more Livescope videos you want to see, whether you want to see big bait videos of Livescope, if you want me to explain how fish set up on grass lakes, ledge lakes, ponds, how I break bodies of water down using Livescope, let me know. Let me know if you want to see these type of videos more moving forward. But I want to hear from you guys what you want to see. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Hopefully you can take something from it. Like I said, Livescope is a tool. You can cast out and catch individual fish sometimes, but hopefully you can see it's more valuable as a tool to actually learn the fishery, learn what the fish are doing. And that's gonna help you catch more fish and become so much more efficient on the water. If you wanna pick up Livescope, right down below, I'll link it. Baitworks and Boatworks, they carry it. Go there, check them out because they have the best customer service. They text me all the time just to see how my boat's doing and how my electronics are doing. I would strongly recommend checking them out at least, and I'll link all the baits we use down below, except this one. It's not out quite yet, but obviously it's gonna be a catcher. Thanks for watching this one, my first. I'm out of here. Peace.